A storm has been brewing in Huntsville, and at the center of it is none other than Shari. For years, fans have known her as the strong, unshakable woman who refuses to play by anyone's rules but her own. Yet recently, she made a move so bold, so unexpected, that it sent shockwaves across the entire reality TV world. She stood up, spoke out, and turned down Carlos King, one of the most influential producers in the game, and she did it without a single trace of regret. If you've been paying attention to Huntsville lately, then you know Melody isn't just participating in reality TV, she's reshaping it. This woman isn't here to make noise for attention, she's here to flip tables, break molds, and show everyone that she's not just a cast member, she's the power behind the camera too. And while social media eats up her clever captions, viral shade, and iconic clapbacks, the deeper truth is this: her story is much bigger than Instagram drama. What we're witnessing isn't just another reality TV moment. It's a power play. A battle of control. And Melody is standing right in the middle of it all. Let's make one thing clear: Melody didn't stumble into success. She wasn't handed a crown. She built her empire brick by brick, each one costing her something personal. Every lesson, every betrayal, every painful moment became part of her foundation. When she boldly declared, "Don't save crap," it wasn't just a sassy one-liner. It was her truth. Melody has no patience for fake smiles, forced loyalty, or polished lies. That fire didn't appear out of thin air, it came from years of being burned, used, and underestimated. Long before cameras followed her every move, Melody was already mastering the art of standing tall in messy situations. She could hold her own in heated conversations, expose hidden agendas, and check people on the spot without ever breaking a sweat. That confidence, that ability to stay poised under pressure, is exactly why the spotlight fits her so perfectly now. And more importantly, it's why she refuses to dim that light for anyone, not even Carlos King. Now, let's talk about Carlos. If you know anything about reality TV, then you know his name carries weight. He's been the puppet master behind some of the most unforgettable moments in the genre. He builds careers, stirs drama, and knows exactly which storylines will dominate headlines. For years, he's been the one pulling the strings from behind the curtain. But when it comes to Melody, things didn't go the way he planned. Rumors began swirling when word got out that Carlos approached Melody with a major offer and she rejected him. Not quietly. Not politely. She turned it down with a confidence that sent ripples across the industry. Because when someone of Carlos's stature comes knocking, most people say yes without hesitation. But Melody? She said no. That simple word sent a powerful message: she wasn't just talent. She was a player. A strategist. A woman who knew her own worth. Insiders revealed that Carlos didn't take the rejection lightly. Not because his feelings were hurt. Carlos isn't known for being sentimental, but because her decision disrupted his usual playbook. Melody wasn't acting like a cast member. She was claiming creative power. In the world of unscripted television, that's like snatching the director's chair, spinning it around, and sitting in it yourself. From the outside, Carlos played it cool. No shady interviews, no angry statements, just silence. But behind closed doors, the energy shifted. Cast members started picking sides. Whispers grew louder. Some claimed Melody was outgrowing the show, becoming too big for the group. Others argued she was the only reason people were still tuning in at all. Either way, the balance of power was changing. And Melody? She didn't flinch. She doubled down. Her Instagram captions became sharper, her public appearances more strategic, and her responses to shade more surgical than ever. She wasn't just surviving the drama, she was orchestrating it. Like a queen on a chessboard, every move was calculated to put someone else in check. Fans loved it. They couldn't get enough of her dominance, her unpredictability, and her refusal to bow to anyone's authority. But beneath the glitz and online applause, one question lingered: what is Melody really planning? Because no one just turns down a Carlos King deal without having a bigger vision in mind. Carlos, of course, knew exactly what her decision meant. Melody wasn't rejecting him just to make a point. She was building something bigger. quietly, methodically, and without permission. Word spread that she wasn't just plotting for herself, she was rewriting the rules of reality TV in Huntsville altogether. And if there's one thing Carlos has never tolerated, it's someone challenging the game he designed. Producers started to notice Melody's growing influence. Reports surfaced that she wasn't only filming her scenes, she was shaping how they unfolded. Some even whispered that she had access to certain edits or footage before others did, possibly influencing how the story was told. In a world where perception is everything, that kind of control is priceless. And Melody, being the strategist she is, knew exactly how to use it. The cast felt the shift too. Some who once clung to Carlos's side began to wonder if aligning with Melody was the smarter long-term bet. Others tried to play both sides, but in Huntsville, double loyalty never lasts. Melody has a sharp radar for fakeness, and when she senses betrayal, she cuts ties without hesitation. Soon, alliances cracked. Friendships crumbled. Cryptic Instagram posts about loyalty and betrayal started flooding timelines. Fans noticed, and just like that, the audience split into two camps, Team Melody and Team Everybody Else. Meanwhile, whispers of Melody's future projects began spreading like wildfire. Talks of a possible spin-off, a solo project, maybe even a whole new franchise outside of Huntsville. Nobody knew for sure, but one thing was clear: she had bigger dreams than just surviving group drama. She was laying the foundation for a takeover. Carlos, sensing the crown slipping from his head, started showing up more often. He sat in on meetings he used to skip. His suggestions felt more like warnings. There was tension in the air, like everyone was waiting for the explosion. Because when a king feels his power slipping, he doesn't go down quietly. And yet, Melody remained calm. On the surface, she looked unbothered, living her life, launching her skincare line, taking photos with fans, and shading with elegance. But those close to her knew the truth: every move was intentional. Every post had a purpose. She wasn't just reacting to drama, she was directing it. What really shook people, though, was the kind of company she started keeping. Publicists, agents, branding experts, heavy hitters who don't step into the ring unless something major is about to unfold. That's when it became clear, this wasn't about outshining her co-stars. This was about creating a new empire. Melody wasn't playing the existing game. She was building her own. But every queen faces enemies. And as her power grew, so did the risks. Rumors spread about a so-called file, a collection of private messages, business receipts, maybe even footage that certain people were allegedly holding onto. If leaked, it could damage the image Melody had worked so carefully to craft. Whether the file was real or just a scare tactic, it sent chills through her circle. People once proud to stand beside her started quietly questioning how far they were willing to go to protect her or themselves. Carlos stayed quiet in public, but insiders say he started digging behind the scenes. Looking for leverage. Searching for ways to remind Melody that no one rewrites the game without consequences. But the truth is, by the time he realized how serious she was, Melody was already 10 steps ahead. Because while others are scrambling to stay relevant in reunion specials, Shari is writing a new playbook, one where she calls the shots, owns her story, and decides what comes next. Huntsville has never seen a storm like this. And if Melody has her way, the game will never be the same again. Sources say Carlos wasn't ready to let go of control without a fight. Behind the scenes, he allegedly reached out to past cast members, some who had clashed with Melody before, and quietly offered them a platform to share their truth. It wasn't quite blackmail, but it came close. The message was clear: if Melody kept pushing, the walls would close in around her. Old wounds would be reopened, old conflicts would be repackaged, and the narrative would turn against her. But if Carlos expected her to panic, he underestimated her again. Melody didn't flinch. Instead, she did the one thing no one saw coming: she called the bluff. She went live. Not a polished story post or a playful reel, but a raw, unfiltered live stream. No script. No notes. Just Melody, face to camera, speaking from the gut. And that, right there, was the move that shifted everything. She didn't call names or spill secrets directly, she didn't have to. Every pause, every glance, every word carried weight. Melody spoke about betrayal, about smiling faces that hide knives, about people who hide behind titles and positions thinking they can't be touched. And then she said it, the line that shook the internet: if anyone had dirt on her, they better come correct, because she had her own vault. The reaction was instant. Twitter lit up. Instagram timelines filled with clips. Reaction videos flooded YouTube within hours. Hashtags trended, and suddenly, the power flipped. The ammunition her enemies thought they had? Gone. Useless. Because once Melody made it clear she was ready for war, the fear shifted. People began asking the real question, not what they had on her but what she had on them. Who could she expose if pushed too far? How deep did her vault really go? The uncertainty alone was enough to shake the foundation. But fire like that doesn't just burn her enemies, it scorched the whole house. Producers, sponsors, and networks suddenly felt the weight of losing control. What used to be just another reality show was now something bigger, something raw, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. The drama was no longer confined to the screen, it was bleeding into real life with consequences no one could script. And in that chaos, Melody thrived. Brands began bypassing the show completely, reaching out to her directly. She wasn't just a cast member anymore. She was the brand. The face. The force. And with that came the one thing networks fear the most: leverage. Behind closed doors, the tone shifted. Meetings changed. Contracts were reread. People who once rolled their eyes at her diva energy suddenly treated her like the prize. They weren't dismissing her anymore, they were pitching her ideas, asking for her approval, even offering her control over storylines. By the time the next season began development, Melody wasn't just sitting on the cast couch. She was sitting at the table. Word spread that she influenced casting choices, shaped narratives, and even decided what scenes made it into episodes. What started as rejection of Carlos's offer had evolved into a full-circle takeover. Still, she never called it victory. That's not her style. Melody doesn't scream that she's winning, she lets her moves speak. Quiet, sharp, precise. Controlled explosions that leave the world talking. And now, everyone's watching. Because in Huntsville, one thing has become undeniable. When Melody Shari moves, the whole game shifts. And the real question isn't whether she'll win, it's how far she's willing to take the crown once it's fully in her hands.